The man before me lived here for only 13 days. He left everything behind: wallet, keys, even his dog. No one's seen him since. That's what the landlord told me as he handed me the keys to apartment 3C. His voice was casual, like he was talking about bad plumbing, not a missing person. He laughed it off when I asked more questions, said the guy was probably a druggie or ran off on debts. I didn't care. The rent was cheap, dirt cheap. And after the year I'd had, I needed a fresh start more than I needed answers. The apartment was old, but not disgusting. Hardwood floors, tall windows, peeling paint. It had the kind of musty smell that disappears after a few days. I unpacked that night with a sense of optimism. I even messaged my sister. Finally found a place. Not a murder scene either. I should never have joked like that. The first night was quiet, but the second night, at 2:46 a.m., I heard 3 knocks. Not at the front door, from inside the walls. Sharp, deliberate. 1, 2, 3, then silence. At first I thought it might be pipes or the building settling. Old buildings make noise, right? But on the third night, the knocks came again. This time from the opposite wall, the bedroom wall that shared space with the empty unit next door. 3 knocks again, same pattern, same time. I messaged the landlord. Hey, is someone living in 3D now? Hearing weird knocking sounds at night. He didn't reply. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the kitchen with all the lights on, laptop open, trying to distract myself with dumb YouTube videos, but even the sound of voices from my screen couldn't mask the feeling that something was watching me. At 2:46 a.m. sharp, again, 3 knocks. 1, 2, 3. This time it wasn't from the wall. It came from inside the apartment. My skin turned ice cold. I stood frozen, every hair on my body standing up. It sounded like the knocks had come from the hallway just outside my bedroom door. I told myself not to be stupid, to be logical. Maybe someone had knocked from the hallway outside the apartment, and it just echoed weird. But I knew that wasn't it. I stood up, carefully opened my bedroom door, and peeked out. The hallway light was still on. Everything looked normal, silent. I walked to the front door and looked through the peephole. Empty hallway, no one. I didn't sleep that night. The landlord finally texted me back around noon. 3D's been vacant for months. Maybe noise from the pipes. That unit's on the same water line. I wasn't buying it. I hadn't even used the water at that hour. That evening, I decided to knock back. I waited until exactly 2:46 a.m. I was sitting on the edge of my bed, facing the wall. When the knocks came, 3 of them, perfectly spaced, I raised my fist and knocked 3 times in return. A few seconds passed. Then came something new. A whisper. So faint I almost thought I imagined it, but it was real. It came from the wall. Not words, just a whisper. Like someone was talking to themselves, just under the threshold of understanding. Too low to make out what was being said, but loud enough to know it was speech. I leaned closer, and then, so suddenly I fell backwards off the bed, came a scream. Full volume, human, female, from the other side of the wall. Blood-curdling. I called 911. 2 officers came. They were professional, but I could tell they thought I was crazy. One of them knocked on the door of 3D. No answer. The landlord came and unlocked it. The apartment was completely empty. Not just empty, abandoned. Like someone had started to move in and then changed their mind. A dusty mattress against the wall. A plate with dried food in the sink. A broken mirror lying on the floor, face down. The officers looked around, shrugged, and told me to get some rest. They said maybe I heard a TV or someone in the hallway, but I saw it on the inside of the closet door in 3D. 3 scratch marks, deep, vertical gouges in the wood, fresh, as if someone had raked their nails down in desperation. I didn't tell the cops. I couldn't stay quiet anymore. I started asking around the building. Mrs. Dent, an elderly woman on the first floor, was the only one who would really talk. She gave me tea and looked at me like she'd been waiting for someone to ask. "You're in 3C?" she said. "Oh dear, you should leave." I laughed. "Why?" Her face went flat. "Because no one stays in that unit more than a few weeks. Something lives there, and it likes to be seen." That last line chilled me. She told me about a girl who lived there 6 years ago. College student, straight A student, started acting strange, paranoid, said she heard breathing in her vents. One day, she disappeared. Her parents came to pack her stuff. The fridge was still full, phone still plugged in. Then a couple left after 10 days. Then the guy before me left his dog behind. I asked her if she ever heard knocking. She nodded, but only when no one lives there. I decided to record everything. I set up my phone to record audio overnight, placed it right near the wall where the knocking always came from. At 2:46 a.m., I sat in the dark, pretending to sleep. Right on cue, 3 knocks. I held my breath. A full minute passed. Then came the whispering again, clearer this time. A woman's voice. And this time, I understood one word: help. That morning, I played the audio back. At first, it was just silence, ambient room noise. Then the knocking. 3 clean knocks, spaced evenly apart. Then a long pause. And then faint, breathy whispering. I had to wear headphones and crank the volume all the way up to hear it properly. It was a woman's voice, fragile, tired, like she hadn't slept in years. "Help me, please. He won't let me out." The rest was unintelligible, but one thing was certain. This wasn't pipes. This wasn't in my head. Something, or someone, was trying to communicate from the other side of the wall. I went back to apartment 3D. The landlord hadn't locked it since the police checked it out. I opened the door and stepped inside, slowly, carefully. The air was thick, like something had been left to rot. I covered my nose with my shirt. The mattress was still there. So was the broken mirror. But something had changed. There was writing on the mirror now, written with a finger in the dust. "Don't talk to her." I stepped back so fast I nearly fell. As I turned to leave, I heard something small hit the floor behind me. I looked back. The closet door had opened slightly. I didn't go near it. I closed the apartment door and locked it from the outside. That night, I left every light on in my apartment. I didn't care about sleep. I just sat at my kitchen table, staring at the wall, daring it to knock again. At 2:46 a.m., the lights flickered. Not just a little, violently, like a power surge. All of them. Then, the apartment went dead, pitch black. My heart pounded in my ears. Then came the knocks. 3 of them, but this time, not from the wall, from the bathroom. I stood up, slowly, walked toward the bathroom with my phone's flashlight. The door was closed. I hadn't closed it. I put my hand on the doorknob. My fingers were shaking. I pushed it open. Nothing. No one. But the mirror above the sink was fogged up. And in the condensation, written with a finger, "He's watching." The next morning, I packed a bag. I didn't care about the rest of my stuff. I just wanted out. But as I reached for the doorknob to leave, I realized it was gone. The knob was gone. The hole where it should have been was perfectly smooth, like it had never been there. I ran to the windows, painted shut, sealed tight. I tried the fire escape. The bolts were rusted solid. I was locked in. I called the landlord. No answer. I called 911. The line went dead after 1 ring. That's when the lights turned off again, and this time, they didn't come back. Over the next few hours, I tried everything. Breaking the door, yelling out the window, prying open the vents. Nothing worked. I even tried punching through the drywall. All I found behind it was old black insulation, thick as fur. I gave up. I sat on the floor, back against the kitchen counter. Then I heard it, the sound of breathing. It wasn't mine. It came from inside the apartment. Slow, shaky, a man's breath. I stood up and turned slowly, and I saw it, just for a second, standing at the end of the hallway. A silhouette, tall, head slightly tilted. No eyes, just darkness where the face should be. Then it was gone. I stopped eating. I couldn't sleep. Time lost all meaning. Every time I blinked, I thought I'd see him. Every time I sat in silence, I heard whispering. I started dreaming while I was still awake. Visions of the previous tenants. A woman banging on the inside of a mirror. A man clawing at the wall until his fingers bled. A child crying under the floorboards. I wasn't just seeing things. I was joining them. By the time the landlord finally showed up, I'd been inside for what felt like days. He opened the door like nothing was wrong, holding a sandwich and a clipboard. "Power out again?" he asked, stepping inside casually. "You knew, didn't you?" I said. My voice was dry, almost broken. About her, about him. He looked at me for a long time, then shrugged. "I don't pick who the apartment chooses," he said. "It just wants to be remembered." Then he smiled and walked out, locking the door behind him. After the landlord left, I stood frozen, hand still on the door handle. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there, staring at the door, trying to convince myself that this was a dream, a breakdown, anything but real. But it was real. I felt the heat of the room, the aching in my stomach, the film of sweat on my skin. I was still here, still locked in, still watched. For the first time in my life, I understood what it meant to lose your mind quietly, like a candle running out of wick. That night, I didn't wait until 2:46. The knocks started at 1 a.m., 3 of them. Then the whispering began again, this time clearer, louder, more desperate. "Please, he sees everything. Don't answer when he speaks to you." The voice wasn't random. It was coming from the mirror in the bathroom. Not just near it, from it. I walked in, flashlight in one hand, the other trembling at my side. There she was, a woman's face in the mirror, but not mine. Pale, gaunt, eyes bloodshot and filled with panic. Her mouth moved in silent words at first. Then I began to hear them. He came through the mirror. That's where he waits. That's how he gets in. I stepped closer. Who is he? She paused. Her mouth trembled. He was the first tenant. He never left. He's part of this place now. He wants to pull you in, like the rest of us. My breath caught. How do I stop him? She looked behind her, as if someone was approaching, then whispered, "Break the mirror before he takes your name." What does that mean? Crack, a long hairline fracture appeared across the mirror's surface. Her face twisted in pain, and the reflection changed. Her face disappeared. In its place was darkness, and in that darkness, 2 white eyes opened. I dropped the flashlight. A hand came out, black, wet, impossibly long-fingered, and pushed against the inside of the glass. The mirror bulged outward like stretched skin. The hand kept pushing, pressing harder. I stumbled back, tripped over the toilet, and hit the floor hard. The mirror began to ripple. I crawled out, slammed the bathroom door shut, and ran to the kitchen. My hands fumbled through drawers until I found a hammer. It felt like it weighed 10 pounds. I gripped it tight. I ran back to the bathroom, kicked the door open. The glass was distorting like jelly. That thing, whatever it was halfway through, its shoulder visible now. Head tilting side to side, as if smelling the air. It saw me. I screamed and swung the hammer as hard as I could. The mirror exploded. Glass shards flew everywhere. The force knocked me back again. For a moment, everything went silent. No creature, no whispering, just the sound of my blood pounding in my ears. Then came a deep, long, howling scream. Not from the room, but from inside the walls, from under the floorboards, from everywhere at once. And then, silence. The lights flickered back on. The doorknob was back. I didn't waste a second. I grabbed my bag, opened the door, and ran. I didn't stop until I was outside the building, barefoot and bleeding. A neighbor saw me and called an ambulance. I didn't say anything, just kept whispering. He sees everything. They said I was in shock. A breakdown, probably. Stress-induced hallucinations. No evidence of anyone in 3D. No record of a missing girl. No record of prior tenants leaving without explanation. They found nothing in the mirror, of course. No creature. Just broken glass and blood. But I know what I saw. I never went back. I moved to a different city, changed my number, tried to forget. But sometimes, when the room is quiet and I catch my reflection just out of the corner of my eye, I see him standing behind me, watching, waiting. 6 months later, an online listing appears. Cozy 1-bedroom unit available. Apartment 3C. Affordable rate. Great lighting. Recently renovated. All utilities included. Ideal for singles or couples. Must sign 1-year lease. And in a basement somewhere, the landlord smiles as he picks up a new set of keys. Let's see who it chooses next.